cultural shocks that I've still not got used to after 20 years living in northern Italy. Now, as you probably know, I'm a Brit, been here for more than 20 years. And in this video, I want to explain a little bit about the cultural shocks that the first time I moved here I thought were very strange. So let's run them down. Everything closes at lunchtime here. I remember when I first moved, I was used to the sort of typical fast-paced British way of life. You know, a sandwich was either taken at your desk or at a canteen, eaten very quickly, then on to the next task. When I moved here, I realised that the lunch hour was sacred, and a lot of places closed down for lunch. Offices closed, factories shut down, and I always thought that was strange. You know, so don't plan on getting things done at lunchtime if you're living here or if you're moving here. Make sure you take your time to sit down, have a proper meal, and discuss the afternoon or what happened last night. But you need to slow down. Lunchtime is a place where there's a time when you slow down. Things close, and that was a culture shock for me. Number two, the volume of everyday life. Now, Italians are quite loud. Well, they're louder than the British. And it was a big culture shock when I realised that people here, even when they're talking normally, they're shouting at each other. It's as if there's a fight's about to happen. Whereas in Britain, we're quite reserved. We always say sorry for everything. We're always sort of low key in the way we talk about things. But here's the total opposite. Here, everything's very high key. I can remember a few run-ins I had with my mother-in-law as well, raising her voice, telling me off. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm 24. Why are you having a go at me? But she's not having a go at me, she's just being nice. That's the way people are, nice here. Shout at each other. That was a big culture shock. Even in the workplace. I remember thinking, how the hell can people get things done here when all they do is shout at each other, tell each other what to do? But that's the way it is. You've got to realise that different cultures have different ways of doing things. So the volume is loud. The volume of the way people communicate, I mean, not the music. It's a funny side story. I remember as well when I moved here, I found out that there was a law that said that music in pubs and bars could only be, there was a decibel limit, so they couldn't be loud. So basically, if a band plays in a pub, it's not loud at all. And I remember thinking, that's a paradox, crazy. The volume of communication here in Italy is so loud. But then when you need music to be loud, like when you go to a gig and you want to hear things loud, you can't do it. That's another paradox. Italy's filled with paradoxes. Also, where I am in northern Italy as well, there's definite times, going back to the point number one, about things closed down for lunch. I live in a condominium, which is like a block of flats or a block of apartments, and there's rules saying that in certain times you can't make any noise. So in the afternoon, I think it's between 2 and 4 or 1 and 3, depends. And in the evening as well, after 10 o'clock, you can't make any noise whatsoever. So it's like the volume's turned down. So the general volume of Italians is very loud and leery, but then because it's that way, there's rules when you can and can't make noise, so follow them. Culture shock number 3, driving. Now, I made a video specifically about driving in Italy, which I'll link below, and you know, after been driving here for more than 20 years, I did my licence in the UK, but I've driven way more here than I have anywhere else. So I'm used to the driving, but I remember it was a real culture shock when I came. Indicators are optional, speeding is optional as well. Roundabouts, let's not talk about roundabouts. People generally cut out in front of you. Linked to the volume and the previous cultural shock, people are very loud and leery in the cars as well. I mean, even my wife, I remember I still tell her off, giving the finger, sticking the finger up at people. That happens quite regularly, although it's happening less. I would say that the more and more we go on, the more Anglo-Saxon people are becoming in driving terms. But to this day, I still tell my wife off for getting angry in the car, because I mean, you don't know who's going to be on the other side of the car. You know, you could have a complete lunatic waiting to get out and do God knows what. But going back 20 years ago, it was quite common. It was a lot more common than it is now. People getting upset in cars, being loud. I think it's just reflecting their general sort of way of being. It's the way the Italians are. Crazy drivers, yeah. I wouldn't say driving was a good pastime here. It gets you from A to B, but you got to be wary. You got to be a lot more wary than you do in Britain. Some things are the opposite. Flashing lights, for example. If someone flashes their lights at you on the motorway or anywhere, it means get out of my way. I'm coming through. Whereas in the UK, it means the opposite. If you flash your lights at someone, it means you can go ahead. Yeah, I mean, generally people not using indicators, pedestrian crossings as well. Now that is a video in itself. Pedestrian crossing. Now when I did my test, I was taught that the pedestrian crossing is an extension of the pavement. So it's like the pavement. And I'm sure the rule is the same here, but no one abides by it. If you're crossing the road in Italy, you've got to be extra careful, because the cars are not going to stop just for you. You've got to walk out, put a foot out, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, shake it all about. No, on a serious note, it can be dangerous. So it's different. It's a cultural shock. People do things differently in different countries. Welcome to the real world. Number 4, food rules. Now, again, I've made a video about this. Food is the #1 culture in Italy. It's probably the place in the world where you eat, or the place in the world, in the Western world, I would say, because I've never been to Asia. Well, I have been to China, but if only for a couple of weeks. I've never really lived there, but I get the feeling that the food's good there as well. But in the Western world, Italy's the place, is the mecca of food. They've exported so much, so many dishes to the rest of the world, Italian restaurants everywhere, that there's a definitely food culture here. There's a big shock when you move. You think you may know about it, pizza, pasta, but you know nothing. Trust me. Again, I've made specific videos on this. One about coffee, how to make pasta, or specific pasta dishes. But here are a couple of no-goes. Never order cappuccino after 11 AM. Never order coffee with a meal. So whatever meal you're having, don't order coffee with it. Please order either water, beer, or wine. Anything else is a no-go. Anything else, and the Italians will look at you as if you've got two heads. This guy's drinking orange juice, or this guy's drinking coffee with his meal. Another no-go is mixing meat with pasta in the same dishes, chicken and pasta. More specifically chicken, yeah, because with ragu, with spaghetti bolognese, you can have the ragu, which is minced meat, that's fine. But chicken and pasta is a no-go. Another thing is fish and cheese. Never have fish or any fish dish and put cheese on it. There are a few exceptions, yeah. Contact me if you want to know what the exceptions are. Obviously, I think the main one as well is pineapple on pizzas. That is a no-go. So the food culture is definitely different. It's a shock. If you're not used to it when you come here, you really need to stay here for at least 6 months, I would say. 6 months to a year to get to know, what the traditions and the way things are, the way they do things here. Now, the next culture shock that struck me is probably the funniest. You've probably heard about it before, but it still is very prevalent in society here, and everyone abides by it. It's the famous colpo d'aria, which means a breeze, and the air, a breeze basically. Colpo means a hit of a breeze, literally translated. Now, I live on the Pianura Padana, which are the plains, the northern Italian plains. So we're protected all around by mountains, and there's not much wind here. Although today is a unusually windy day. You see the corn blowing, or the barley blowing. But normally here there's hardly any wind. So people are really wary of the wind. It's like the wind has a magic or a dark spell that can make you ill straight away. Yeah, so that's why you'll see people maybe in the month of May. This is the month of May, probably the most pleasant month, because it's okay to be outside, maybe about 24, 25 degrees, whereas June, July, August too hot, and then the months in January, February are too cold. So this is one of the most pleasant months, but you'll still see people wearing scarves or a light scarf covering their neck. Also air conditioning. I include air conditioning, this colpo d'aria and this hit of a breeze. People here tend to have a negative view on air conditioning. In fact, the Italians always say that in America and in Canada they're crazy. You know, you go into places and the air conditioning is on at 20 degrees. It's like walking into a fridge. Whereas here, if people use air conditioning, generally it's on at 27, 28 degrees. Obviously outside the temperature is higher. But that change from 30 to 27, 28 is a lot less harsh on the body than a change to 33, from 33 to 20, like you have in the States, or that we would have in Britain as well if we had nice weather, which we don't. So they're also scared of the throat. Is a very delicate, it's as if air conditioning had a knife and it could stab you and kill you in your throat. They're also very wary of air conditioning on your throat, on this area, your chest and your throat. Not only the air conditioning but the breeze as well. It can give you torcicollo, which is a stiff neck. And in worst cases, it can kill you, I think. I don't know, let me know in the comments if it can kill you, if there's any Italians watching. Can a colpo d'aria actually kill you? I'm intrigued. But yeah, so anyway, air, wind, the fear of air or wind. Which, also if a fan's on, people don't want to sit next to the fan blowing on them. Whereas I'm the total opposite. I can't get used to that. I'm here for 25 years and I could sleep under the air conditioning if it's that warm. I hate the heat, so anything that gets me, even if I risk getting a stiff neck, I prefer sleeping under the air conditioner or next to the fan. Look, I'm just outside the city here. You can see the big bell tower that I mentioned in previous videos. Anyway, moving on to my last culture shock. I think this is a positive one. It's one that I admire the most, and that is family is everything here. I often think that a lot of the problems in the UK and Britain, the sole fundamental reason or the stem of what the problems are when we let the sort of family go. Family's become less important in the UK now. I mean, even when I was growing up, I mean, it was important. But it almost seemed that I lived in a culture that when I got to 18, I was like kicked out. I wasn't kicked out, I left on my own accord. Or did I? But the family is very important here. I'm saying it, the wind's blowing here to cover my neck. Beautiful day. Yeah, family, I was talking about family. It still amazes me as well, my wife now. I mean, we live around a couple of miles away from our parents. So the in-laws are only a couple of miles away. They're getting on a bit. They're over 80 now. So their mobility is a lot less. They still go out, they still drive. But yeah, my wife calls them at least 3 times a day. Even when she sees them. In the summer we see them a lot more, obviously, because the summer is you're always outdoors here in the swimming pool or going out for walks. So we see them a lot more, but even when we see them, she still calls them 3 times a day. And that is probably the norm. Well, it is the norm. The whole family thing here is massive. In fact, it's that big that that's where everything comes from. Aunties, uncles, cousins, everyone makes a point of getting together at least once a year. There's not many people who live far from their parents, or far from their brothers and sisters. It's still very much ingrained in society here that the most important thing is your family. Again, my take on it, I think it's good. It's a good thing, obviously. Like I said, I think a lot of the problems in Britain arise from the breakdown of the family. I mean, if you don't have your parents to tell you what to do when you're young, then who do you have? You grow up not knowing what's wrong or right. So yeah, I mean the family. I mean, the only negative I would say about the family thing is that it's very intense. So it makes you need to, I don't know, it still gets me off guard. It's just different, it's just intense. Like everything is here, the volume, everything's a lot more euphoric than it is in the UK. Again, going back to what I said in previous videos, it's very intense. Family. So guys, that's my take on cultural shocks after having lived more than 20 years in northern Italy. I don't know, has anyone lived more than 20 years outside the UK or any other country for that fact? Let me know in the comments. I'd like to hear from you. Does it resonate with you what I'm saying? Is it still that way in Britain? Maybe what I've said, reflects on Britain 20 years ago. Are these still things that are relevant in Britain now? Anyway, thanks for watching. As always, like and subscribe if you want to know more about living in northern Italy. I'm going to leave you on this beautiful May Sunday afternoon, 24 degrees on the northern Italian plains. I'm going to have lunch. I think I'll have a swim, an aperitivo, and then it's tennis time. It's a Spanish Alcaraz versus Sinner. Those of you who know me know that I'm half Spanish, so come on Alcaraz. I just hope it's a good game. Ciao for now, folks.